The first time I watched the woman I loved choose another man, I was standing beneath a chandelier worth more than my childhood home. Ethan, I'm sorry, Claire whispered. Lucas was my first love. I never stopped loving him. I remember the glass in my hand trembling. I remember her engagement ring, the ring I had bought with plans for a future she had already given to someone else. What Claire didn't know was that I had walked into that restaurant carrying 2 envelopes. One contained the keys to the apartment we were supposed to share. The other contained a signed offer that had just made me the youngest CEO in the city. I left both on the table. 3 months later, Claire walked into the company where she worked, expecting to meet the new owner. When the elevator doors opened, I was standing there in a tailored black suit. Her face went white. Ethan, I smiled. Good morning, Claire. She had chosen her first love. She had no idea she had just chosen to work for me. I used to believe heartbreak arrived with screaming, broken glass, and dramatic exits. Mine arrived quietly. Claire sat across from me at our favorite restaurant, twisting the silver spoon beside her untouched coffee. Soft piano music floated through the room. Outside, rain covered the windows, turning the city into a blur of gold and gray. I knew something was wrong before she opened her mouth. Why are you looking at me like that? Claire asked. Because you've been staring at that spoon for 10 minutes. Claire forced a smile. I'm trying to find the right words. That usually means the wrong words are coming. Her eyes filled with tears. My stomach tightened. Ethan, I need to tell you something. I put my phone face down. Okay. Lucas came back. The name meant nothing to me for 1 second. Then everything did. Lucas Bennett. Claire nodded. The Lucas you dated in college? Yes. The Lucas who left for London? Yes. And now he's back? Yes. I leaned against my chair. Claire, what does that have to do with us? She looked down. I met him yesterday. My chest felt strangely cold. And he wants another chance. I waited. Claire finally lifted her eyes. So do you? The sentence hit harder than any insult. You're breaking up with me. I never wanted to hurt you. That wasn't my question. Claire wiped a tear from her cheek. Yes. For 3 years, I had built my life around her. I had learned how she liked her coffee. I knew which songs she played when she was nervous. I had memorized the date she wanted us to buy a house. I had even hidden an apartment key inside my jacket because I planned to surprise her after dinner. Now that key felt like a joke. Do you love him? I asked. Claire closed her eyes. When she opened them, I already knew. Yes. I nodded slowly. Do you love me? Her silence answered first. Then Claire whispered, I care about you. I almost laughed. Care. That word was supposed to soften the knife. Instead, it twisted it. I gave you 3 years. I know. I stood beside you when your father called your career a failure. I know. I drove 6 hours when your car broke down. I know. And you still choose him? Claire reached across the table. I moved my hand away. Please don't, I whispered. She froze. I'm not asking you to forgive me tonight. You're not asking me for anything. I'm asking you to understand. I understand perfectly. I pulled the small velvet box from my pocket. Claire stared at it. Her face changed. Ethan. I opened the box. A diamond ring caught the warm restaurant light. For a moment, neither of us moved. I bought this yesterday. Claire covered her mouth. I was going to ask you to marry me. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I'm sorry. I closed the box. Don't be sorry because you chose him. Claire looked at me. Then why should I be sorry? Because you waited until I was ready to give you everything before telling me you wanted someone else. Her shoulders shook. I never planned for this. Neither did I. I stood. Claire rose halfway from her chair. Where are you going? Home. Can we talk tomorrow? I looked at the woman I had once imagined growing old beside. No. Ethan, please. Claire, if I stay, I'll say something I regret. She swallowed. I never wanted to become your enemy. You won't. I placed the apartment key beside the ring. You just won't be my future. I walked away before she could answer. Outside, the rain had stopped. My phone buzzed before I reached my car. It was my lawyer, Daniel. Did you meet the board? Yes. And they approved the acquisition. I stopped beside the driver's door. How many votes? Every vote. I looked back at the restaurant window. Claire was still sitting there. Daniel, when does the transfer become official? Monday morning. I smiled for the first time that night. Then keep everything quiet until Monday. Ethan, are you sure? About the company? About taking the position. I looked at the rainwater shining beneath the streetlights. For years, I had worked behind the scenes at Bennett Holdings, the family empire my late grandfather built. My father had trusted me with difficult deals, but kept me away from the spotlight. He believed I needed experience before taking control. 3 months earlier, I had secretly negotiated to buy the controlling stake from a group of investors who wanted to break the company apart. Tonight, they had accepted my final offer. On Monday, I would become CEO. Claire worked in the legal department. She had no idea. Daniel, I replied. Monday stays exactly as planned. I ended the call. Then I looked at the velvet box in my hand. I had thought losing Claire meant losing my future. I was wrong. It meant I finally had the freedom to build one. But I didn't know yet that Claire's choice would bring Lucas straight into my company and turn my promotion into a war over everything my family had ever owned. And somewhere inside that empire was a secret my father had buried for 20 years, waiting for me to uncover before it destroyed us both. Monday morning arrived before I was ready for it. I stood inside the executive elevator, watching the numbers climb toward the 42nd floor. My reflection stared back at me from the polished doors. Black suit, silver watch, calm expression. Inside, my heart was racing. Daniel stood beside me with a tablet in his hands. The board is waiting. I know. Your first meeting starts at 9. I know. Daniel glanced at me. You're unusually quiet. I'm thinking. About Claire. I looked at him. About the company. Daniel gave me a knowing smile. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. I stepped into Bennett Global for the first time as its chief executive officer. Employees immediately began moving around us. Executives greeted me. Assistants rushed toward conference rooms. Security guards straightened. Everyone knew my name. Almost everyone except the person whose opinion had once mattered most. Daniel followed me into the boardroom. The chairman's seat belonged to me now. I sat down. Let's begin. For the next 2 hours, I listened to reports about investments, legal disputes, international contracts, and an upcoming merger. I asked questions. I rejected 2 proposals. I approved 3. By the end of the meeting, the board members understood something clearly. I wasn't my grandfather's grandson sitting in a chair because of family money. I knew the company. I knew the numbers. And I had no intention of letting anyone tear it apart. At 11:30, Daniel entered my office. There's one more thing. What? Legal department. I looked up. Claire. Daniel nodded. She's on the schedule for a contract review at noon. I leaned back. Does she know? No. Good. Daniel hesitated. You could move the meeting. No. Why? Because she works here. That's all. That's all. Daniel left. I stared through the glass wall at the city. 3 years ago, I had entered this building as a junior financial analyst. Today, I owned enough of it to decide its future. At noon exactly, my assistant knocked. Claire Morgan is here. My fingers tightened around the pen. Send her in. The door opened. Claire walked inside carrying a folder. She wore a cream blouse and dark trousers. Her hair was tied back neatly. She smiled politely. Mr. Bennett? I looked up. Yes. She stepped closer. I'm Claire Morgan from legal. I know. Her smile faded. She stared at me. The folder slipped slightly in her hand. Ethan. I stood. Good afternoon, Claire. Her face lost all color. You're the new CEO. Claire looked toward the glass wall, then back at me. When did this happen? Today. You knew? Yes. And you never told me? I raised an eyebrow. Why would I? Her lips parted. I don't know. I think you do. Claire lowered her eyes. This is awkward. It doesn't have to be. How can you act so normal? Because I'm at work. She swallowed. You're really the owner? Controlling shareholder. That's different. Not enough to change the decision. What decision? Your contract review. Claire stared at me. You're reviewing my work? I review everything important. You know I'm good at my job. I do. Her voice became softer. Ethan, can we talk about us? No. She blinked. Why? Because we already did. I made a mistake. You made a choice. I was confused. You weren't confused when you told me you loved Lucas. Her eyes filled with tears. Please don't do this. Do what? Punish me. I stepped around the desk. I'm not punishing you. Then why does it feel like this? Because consequences sometimes feel like punishment. Claire looked away. I never imagined you would become this. What did you imagine? She hesitated. The man who waited for me. That sentence hurt more than I expected. I kept my voice steady. That man doesn't work here anymore. Claire stared at me. Before she could respond, the office door opened. A familiar voice filled the room. Claire. She turned. Lucas stood in the doorway. He wore an expensive navy suit and carried a leather portfolio. His smile disappeared when he saw me. Ethan. I recognized him immediately. So this was the man she had chosen. Lucas looked between us. You're the new CEO? Yes. He gave a nervous laugh. That's unexpected. I've heard that today. Lucas stepped inside. I'm here for the Bennett International Partnership. I took the portfolio from his hand. Then you're early. Actually, I was told the meeting was at 12. It is. He glanced at Claire. She didn't mention you were leading it. Claire looked uncomfortable. I didn't know. I opened the portfolio. Lucas watched me carefully. You're acquiring our company? No. His shoulders relaxed. We're acquiring your parent company's distribution network. His expression changed. You can't. I already did. Lucas stared at me. That deal was supposed to close next month. It closed this morning. Claire looked at me. You planned this. I planned the acquisition. You knew Lucas was involved. I knew the company was involved. Lucas stepped forward. You're making a mistake. I closed the folder. Then prove it. He looked furious. I won't work under you. That's your choice. Lucas turned toward Claire. Come with me. Claire didn't move. I noticed that. Lucas noticed too. Claire. She looked at him. Go ahead. I'll meet you downstairs. Lucas's jaw tightened. Then he left. The door closed. Silence filled the office. Claire looked at me. Are you happy? No. Then what do you want? I looked out at the city. I want the truth. About what? Why? Lucas returned. Claire frowned. What do you mean? I checked the acquisition records. She went still. His company was nearly bankrupt. Claire's eyes widened. Ethan. Someone funded him. Who? I don't know yet. I turned toward her. But I intend to find out. Her face changed. For the first time since our breakup, Claire looked frightened. Not of me. Of something she had not expected. And that was when I realized her reunion with Lucas might never have been about love. It might have been about money. And if I was right, the man who stole my girlfriend was only the first piece of a much bigger betrayal. Claire didn't leave my office. She stood beside the window, staring at the city like the answer might be written between the buildings. Ethan, what exactly did you find? I returned to my desk. Your boyfriend's company received a private loan 6 weeks ago. From who? A company called Northstar Capital. Claire frowned. I've never heard of it. Neither had I. That doesn't prove anything. No. But the amount does. How much? $8 million. Claire's face changed. 8 million. 8 million. She shook her head. Lucas doesn't have that kind of money. Exactly. Maybe his family helped him. His family hasn't had that kind of money for years. Claire became quiet. I opened my laptop. There's more. What? The money moved through 3 companies before reaching Lucas's business. Why? To hide where it came from. Claire stepped closer. Can you trace it? I already did. Her eyes met mine. Who? I turned the screen toward her. A single name appeared. Richard Morgan. Claire stopped breathing for a moment. My father. I nodded. That's impossible. Your father invested $8 million into Lucas's company. My father hates Lucas. I thought so too. Claire stared at the screen. Why would Dad help him? That's what I'm trying to understand. She sat down slowly. I need to call him. Do it. Claire pulled out her phone. Her fingers trembled as she dialed. The call went to voicemail. She tried again. Nothing. That's strange. What? My father always answers me. Call your mother. Claire did. Her mother's voice came through immediately. Claire. Mom, where's Dad? There was a pause. He left this morning. Where? I don't know. Did he mention Lucas? Another pause. Why are you asking about Lucas? Claire looked at me. Because Dad gave him $8 million. Silence. Then her mother whispered. You found out. Claire's eyes widened. Found out what? Her mother ended the call. Claire stared at the phone. Mom. Nothing. She lowered it. I don't understand. I do. She looked at me. What? Your family knows something. Claire stood. Ethan, please. I haven't accused anyone. You're looking at me like I'm involved. I don't know if you are. Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't know anything. I believe you. That surprised her. You do? Yes. Why? Because if you were part of this, you wouldn't be sitting here looking terrified. Claire looked away. I don't know what to do. For once, don't do anything. She looked back at me. What does that mean? Let me investigate. You're going to investigate my father? I'm investigating a financial transaction involving my company. Your company? Northstar used money connected to a Bennett Holdings subsidiary. Claire's expression sharpened. So your company is involved too? Possibly. Then maybe this has nothing to do with Lucas. Maybe. A knock interrupted us. Daniel entered. Ethan, we have a problem. What happened? The North Star files disappeared. I stood. From where? Our internal server. Who had access? 6 people. Names. Daniel handed me a printed list. I scanned it. Then I stopped. Claire noticed. What? I handed her the paper. Her name was third. Claire stared at it. I didn't delete anything. I know. Daniel looked between us. There's another issue. What? Security footage from the archive room is missing too. I felt something cold move through me. Someone inside the company is helping them. Daniel nodded. That's my concern. Claire looked at me. Lucas? Maybe. She shook her head. No. You sound certain. I know him. I almost smiled. That sentence didn't work very well for us last week. Pain crossed her face. I deserve that. Yes. She looked down. I still know when Lucas is lying. Then tell me. He wasn't lying when he told me he came back because he loved me. I studied her. And now? I don't know. The office door opened again. This time my assistant looked nervous. Mr. Bennett, Lucas is downstairs. Send him up. Claire stood. Should I leave? No. She looked surprised. Why? Because I want to hear what he has to say. A few seconds later, Lucas entered. He looked directly at Claire. We need to talk. Claire crossed her arms. About what? About your father. Her expression tightened. What about him? Lucas glanced at me. Not here. I stepped forward. Everything concerning my company happens here. Lucas looked irritated. Ethan, this doesn't concern you. I smiled. You're standing inside my office. He clenched his jaw. Richard made a deal with me. Claire stared at him. What kind of deal? Lucas hesitated. He promised funding. Why? To buy back my company. Why would my father help you? Lucas looked at Claire. Because he needed something from me. What? Lucas didn't answer. I moved closer. What did Richard Morgan need? Lucas finally looked at me. Proof. Proof of what? That your grandfather didn't build Bennett Holdings legally. The room went silent. Claire's face went pale. I felt my heartbeat slow. My grandfather? Lucas nodded. Your grandfather stole the company from his own business partner. I stared at him. That's a serious accusation. I have documents. Where? Lucas reached inside his jacket. He pulled out a thin envelope. Right here. Claire stepped closer. What kind of documents? Lucas handed the envelope to me. Documents that could destroy your family. I opened it. Inside was an old photograph. My grandfather stood beside another man. The second man looked familiar. I turned the photograph over. A handwritten date appeared. August 14th, 1998. Below it were 4 words. The night everything changed. I looked at Lucas. Where did you get this? Lucas gave me a cold smile. Ask your father. Then he walked out. Claire remained frozen beside me. I looked at the photograph again. The man standing beside my grandfather wasn't a stranger. He was Richard Morgan, Claire's father. And suddenly, my breakup with Claire no longer felt like the beginning of my story. It felt like the beginning of a revenge someone had been planning long before either of us met. I didn't sleep that night. The photograph sat on my desk beneath the light of a single lamp. My grandfather, Richard Morgan, August 14th, 1998. The night everything changed. I had spent my entire life hearing one version of my family's history. My grandfather had built Bennett Holdings from nothing. Richard Morgan had been a young accountant who worked for him. Then Richard left the company after a disagreement. That was the story. Now I wasn't sure any of it was true. At 7 in the morning, I called my father. Dad, I need to see you. About what? 1998. Silence. That was enough. You know exactly what I'm talking about. My father's voice became quieter. Where are you? My office. I'll come there. No. Ethan. Come to the old Bennett house. Another pause. Fine. I arrived 20 minutes later. My father was already standing inside the library. He looked older than he had the previous week. You found the photograph. I stopped. So you knew? I knew it existed. What's in it? My father walked toward the fireplace. Your grandfather and Richard were business partners. I know that. No. You know the official story. Then give me the real one. My father looked at me. Richard created the original technology that made Bennett Holdings successful. I stared at him. Then why did Grandpa get all the credit? Because Richard signed a contract. What contract? A transfer agreement. Why? Because Richard needed money. For what? My aunt was sick. Richard needed expensive treatment for her. I frowned. That doesn't explain everything. No. My father looked toward the window. Your grandfather promised Richard a permanent partnership. But he didn't keep it. He didn't. I felt anger rising. Why? Because the company became too valuable. I walked closer. Grandpa stole it. My father nodded. Not exactly. Then what? He changed the contract. I stared at him. Without Richard knowing? Yes. My hands tightened. That's fraud. I know. Did you? I found out years later. And you did nothing? My father looked ashamed. I was 24. That isn't an excuse. No. The library fell silent. Why is Richard giving Lucas money now? My father looked at me. Because Richard wants his company back. Bennett Holdings? Yes. I laughed bitterly. He waited almost 30 years. He never forgot. Then why involve Lucas? My father didn't answer. Dad, he finally whispered. Because Lucas has something you don't. What? Richard trusts him. I shook my head. That doesn't make sense. It will. My phone rang. Daniel. I answered. What's wrong? Ethan, Claire's been suspended. I froze. Why? Someone accessed the North Star files using her credentials. My eyes narrowed. Did she do it? No. Then who? We don't know. I ended the call. My father watched me. Claire Morgan. Yes. Keep her away from this. Why? Because if Richard realizes you care about her, he'll use her. I looked at him. That's not your decision. My father sighed. Ethan, you don't understand Richard. Then explain. He doesn't want money. What does he want? Recognition. I left the house without another word. When I reached the company, Claire was standing near the lobby security desk. She looked exhausted. Ethan, come with me. Am I fired? No. Then why did security stop me? Because someone used your credentials. I didn't do it. I know. She looked surprised. You believe me? Yes. Why? Because the access happened while you were at your mother's house. Claire stared at me. How did you know where I was? I checked the security logs. She lowered her voice. My father called me last night. What did he want? He told me to stay away from Bennett Holdings. Did he explain why? No. I studied her face. What did Lucas tell you? Claire hesitated. He told me my father wasn't the only person involved. Who else? I don't know. Claire. I really don't know. She looked frustrated. Ethan, I need you to understand something. What? I chose Lucas because I thought I still loved him. I remained silent. But now I realize I barely know the man he became. Her voice shook. He's been asking questions about your family for weeks. What kind of questions? Your grandfather. Your father. The original company records. Did he ever ask about me? Claire looked at me. Yes. What did he ask? Whether you knew the truth. My stomach tightened. What truth? I don't know. Before I could answer, the elevator doors opened. Lucas stepped out. He walked directly toward us. Claire. She turned. What are you doing here? Lucas looked at me. Ethan, we need to talk privately. No. This concerns your family. Then talk. Lucas glanced around. Your father already knows. I stepped closer. Knows what? Lucas pulled out his phone. I found the original contract. My heart stopped. Where? Your grandfather's private archive. That's impossible. Nothing is impossible when someone has been hiding the truth for 28 years. Claire looked at him. What does the contract prove? Lucas looked at me. It proves Richard was promised 40% of Bennett Holdings. I stared at him. And the transfer was canceled illegally. Who canceled it? Lucas gave me a look I couldn't read. Your father. My chest tightened. That isn't possible. Lucas showed me the document. My father's signature appeared at the bottom. I recognized it immediately. Claire covered her mouth. I looked at Lucas. You're lying. Then ask your father. I grabbed the document. Lucas stepped back. One more thing. What? Richard doesn't want to destroy you. Then what does he want? Lucas looked at Claire. He wants you to give him the company. I laughed once. You expect me to surrender everything my family built? Lucas shook his head. No. He looked at the document. He expects you to surrender everything your family stole. Then he walked away. Claire remained beside me. I looked down at the signature again. For the first time, I wondered whether becoming CEO had never been my greatest victory. Maybe it had been the trap, and someone had been waiting for me to sit in that chair before demanding the price. I spent the next 3 hours locked inside my grandfather's private archive. Every drawer contained another piece of a history I had never been taught. Old contracts, bank records, Letters. Photographs. Nothing was clean. Nothing was simple. Claire stood across the table, reading a faded document. Ethan. I looked up. What? I found something. She placed a letter in front of me. The paper was yellow with age. The signature at the bottom belonged to my grandfather. I read the first line. Richard, I never intended to take everything from you. My stomach tightened. I kept reading. Then I stopped. Claire watched me. What does it say? I handed her the letter. My grandfather admits the company was originally Richard's creation. Claire reads silently. Then she looked at me. But there's something else. What? She pointed to the final paragraph. He says Richard agreed to the transfer. I stared at the page. Why would Richard agree? Claire turned the paper over. There's a second page. I unfolded it. My grandfather had written another confession. Richard had agreed to surrender his ownership temporarily because he needed money for his mother's medical treatment. But there was one condition. When the company became profitable, Richard would receive his 40% back. That condition had never been honored. My hands went cold. Grandpa betrayed him. Claire nodded. And your father knew. I looked at her. My father discovered it years later. Then why didn't he return the shares? I don't know. A voice came from the doorway. Because he was afraid. We both turned. My father stood there. I rose slowly. Dad. He entered the archive. I should have told you before you became CEO. Why didn't you? Because I thought I could fix it. You couldn't. No. He looked at Claire. Richard isn't the only person who wants revenge. Claire frowned. What does that mean? My father sat down. Lucas approached me 6 months ago. My heart tightened. You knew him? Yes. Before Claire met him again? Yes. Claire stepped backward. Why? My father looked ashamed. Lucas wanted information about Richard's original ownership. I stared at him. You helped him. I gave him records. Why? Because I wanted Richard to come back. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You wanted him to take the company? I wanted to restore what my father stole. Then why did you make me CEO? My father looked directly at me. Because you were the only person I trusted to do the right thing. I laughed bitterly. You could have told me. I was afraid you'd refuse. You were right. My father lowered his eyes. I know. Claire spoke softly. Then why did Richard send Lucas after Ethan? My father looked at her. Because Richard doesn't trust me anymore. Does he trust Lucas? No. Then why use him? My father paused. Because Lucas doesn't care who gets hurt. Claire's face went pale. I understood immediately. Claire. She looked at me. Lucas isn't trying to help your father. What is he trying to do? Take the company for himself. My father nodded. Lucas discovered the original documents. He realized Richard planned to reclaim his ownership and transfer the company to a foundation. Claire stared at him. A foundation? Yes. What kind? A charity supporting medical research. I looked at the old letter again. So Richard doesn't want to become CEO? No. He wants justice. Yes. Claire lowered her eyes. And Lucas wants the company. My father nodded. The room became silent. I thought about the night Claire chose Lucas. Suddenly, I wondered whether he had returned because he loved her, or because being close to her gave him access to her family. Claire looked at me. I need to apologize. For what? For choosing him. I didn't answer. She stepped closer. I thought my first love was the person I was supposed to end up with. Her voice trembled. I confused history with love. I looked at her. Claire, I know you don't owe me another chance. I don't. I know. She took a breath. But I need you to know that I regret hurting you. I looked away. Regret doesn't erase what happened. I know. Then what are you asking for? Nothing. She surprised me. I just want to help you uncover the truth. My eyes returned to hers. Why? Because someone used my family. She swallowed. And because I don't want to lose the man who treated me better than I deserved. The words stayed between us. I didn't move. Claire reached for my hand. This time, I didn't pull away. Her fingers were warm. I still love you, she whispered. My chest tightened. I don't know if I can believe that. You don't have to. She slowly released my hand. Let me prove it. Before I could respond, my phone rang. Daniel. I answered. Ethan, you need to get back to the office. What happened? Lucas just called an emergency shareholder meeting. My expression hardened. Who authorized it? The board. Which board members? Daniel listed 4 names. All 4 had supported my appointment. My father stood immediately. He moved faster than I expected. What's the purpose? Daniel paused. Lucas claims he has evidence that your family acquired Bennett Holdings through fraud. I looked at Claire. How long? 40 minutes. I ended the call. Claire grabbed her coat. I'm coming. You don't have to. I know. She looked directly at me. But I'm coming anyway. My father picked up the old documents. Then we're going together. We reached the boardroom with 5 minutes to spare. Every director was already seated. Lucas stood at the front. He looked confident. Too confident. Then he placed a thick folder on the table. Ladies and gentlemen, I have proof that Ethan Bennett has no legitimate right to control this company. I looked around the room. Nobody moved. Lucas smiled. Tonight, the Bennett family empire ends. I sat down. Then let's see your proof. Lucas opened the folder. And the first document he displayed was the original ownership agreement. But there was one problem. The signature on it wasn't my grandfather's. It was my father's. And beneath that signature was a clause none of us had ever seen before. Control would transfer to Richard Morgan's legal heir upon his death. Claire went completely still. Lucas looked at her. Congratulations, Claire. Then he turned toward me. You just became a CEO with no company to run. For 5 seconds, nobody in the boardroom moved. I stared at the document in front of me. Then I looked at Claire. Her face was completely pale. Claire. She shook her head. I didn't know. Lucas smiled. That's convenient. I turned toward him. You forged nothing, did you? Lucas placed another document on the table. No. Then explained the clause. The company was always supposed to return to Richard's family. I looked at my father. Is it real? My father closed his eyes. Yes. The room erupted with whispers. I stood. You knew? I discovered the clause years ago. And you hid it. I was trying to protect you. By lying to me? My father's voice cracked. I was trying to protect the company. Lucas laughed. There it is. I looked at him. What? The Bennett family always chooses the company. He pointed toward Claire. Even now. Claire stood. Don't use me to attack Ethan. Lucas turned toward her. I'm not attacking anyone. You're manipulating everyone. You chose me. I was wrong. Lucas's smile disappeared. You don't get to rewrite that. Claire looked directly at him. No, but I get to admit it. Silence returned. I looked at the document again. The legal wording was clear. If Richard had died without reclaiming his ownership, his legal heir would inherit the rights. Richard has an heir? Lucas nodded. His daughter. I frowned. Richard has a daughter? Claire looked confused. My father slowly lifted his head. Ethan. What? He looked at Claire. Richard's daughter is Claire's mother. Claire froze. What? Nobody moved. My father continued. Richard Morgan is your grandfather. Claire took a step backward. No. My father nodded. Your mother was his daughter. I looked at Claire. She looked like the entire world had shifted beneath her feet. That means... I finished the thought. Claire is the legal heir. Lucas smiled again. Exactly. Claire stared at the documents. So my father is Richard's son-in-law, I replied. And my mother is the heir. Yes. Lucas leaned against the table. Which means the company belongs to your family. I shook my head. Not yet. Lucas frowned. The clause requires verification. Exactly. I picked up the document. And you conveniently brought this to the board without the original. Lucas's expression changed. The copy is valid. Not without authentication. Daniel entered the room carrying a folder. Ethan. I turned. What did you find? The original contract. Lucas went still. Where? Daniel placed the folder in front of me. Your grandfather's attorney kept it in a secure archive. I opened it. The original contract was there. But the clause Lucas had shown us was missing. I looked at him. You altered the copy. Lucas's face hardened. No. Daniel pointed to the final page. There are no additional clauses. I looked at Lucas. You tried to steal the company. Lucas stepped backward. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. He looked at Claire. Tell him. Claire stared at him. Tell me what? Lucas's voice became desperate. Your grandfather promised me control. Claire shook her head. My grandfather? Richard. He never promised you anything. He needed me. He used you. Lucas's face twisted. You chose me. Claire's eyes filled with tears. I chose the memory of you. Lucas went silent. Claire continued. I loved who you were when we were young. She wiped her tears. But the man standing here isn't that person. Lucas looked at me. This isn't over. I stepped toward him. It is for you. Security entered. Lucas didn't resist. He simply stared at Claire. She didn't follow him. When the doors closed behind him, the boardroom became quiet. My father approached me. Ethan. I looked at him. I'm not ready to forgive you. I know, but I don't want to destroy you either. My father nodded. I don't deserve your forgiveness. No. I looked toward Claire. But I think our family can finally tell the truth. My father gave a tired smile. That's all I ever wanted. The board members began asking questions. I answered every one. I admitted what my grandfather had done. I explained Richard's original ownership. I explained the fraudulent copy. And then I made a decision. I will not keep anything that doesn't belong to my family. The room went silent. I continued. We will honor the original agreement. Claire looked at me. What does that mean? It means your family receives what Richard was promised. And you? I keep my shares. She looked relieved. Will you remain CEO? I nodded. Only if the board approves. Daniel smiled. They already did. One director stood. Mr. Bennett, you exposed fraud that could have destroyed this company. You protected the shareholders, admitted your family's wrongdoing, and prevented a fraudulent takeover. He looked around the room. I vote to keep Ethan Bennett as CEO. One by one, the others agreed. The meeting ended an hour later. I walked onto the balcony outside my office. The city looked different. Not because anything had changed. Because I had. Claire joined me. She stood several feet away. Can I ask you something? Yes. Do you hate me? I looked at her. No. She lowered her eyes. That almost hurts more. Why? Because I could handle anger. I smiled faintly. I don't want to hate you. She looked at me. I still love you. I didn't answer immediately. Claire took a breath. I don't expect you to come back. You shouldn't. I know. I need time. I'll give you time. I turned toward her. But there's something you should know. What? I never stopped loving you. Her eyes filled with tears. Ethan. But love isn't enough anymore. She nodded. I understand. We'd have to start over. I'd want that. No promises. No promises. No pretending the past didn't happen. No pretending. And no Lucas. Claire almost smiled through her tears. Definitely no Lucas. For the first time in months, we laughed together. Not because everything was fixed. Because something real had finally begun. 6 months later, Bennett Holdings established the Richard Morgan Medical Foundation. My father publicly admitted his family's role in the original betrayal. Richard, after years of fighting for justice, finally accepted the settlement. Lucas faced criminal charges for document fraud and financial deception. As for Claire, she never returned to my company. She built her own legal practice instead. She told me she wanted a life she earned without using my name. I respected that. On the day her firm opened, I sent her one flower. No grand speech. No expensive gift. Just one white rose. That evening, she came to my office. You sent this? Yes. Why? Because I'm proud of you. Claire smiled. Is that all? I stood. No. She waited. I'd like to take you to dinner. Her smile grew. As my boss. I laughed. No. As the woman who broke my heart. No. Then as what? I looked into her eyes. As the woman I want to get to know again. Claire stepped closer. I'd like that. We left the office together. This time, neither of us knew exactly where the road would lead. And somehow, that made it better. Because the first time Claire chose me, I thought love meant being certain about the future. Now I understood something different. Love wasn't about being someone's first choice. It was about becoming the choice they made after seeing the truth. Claire had once chosen her first love. I had once believed that meant I had lost everything. Instead, it forced me to discover who I was without her. I became a CEO. I uncovered my family's darkest secret. I stopped a man from stealing everything we had. But none of those victories mattered as much as the quiet moment when Claire reached for my hand outside the restaurant. She didn't promise forever. Neither did I. We simply walked inside together. For the first time, we weren't trying to return to the past. We were choosing the future. Together.